Welcome to Unsubscribe. I'm your host, Avani Jain. In this podcast, I'm going to show you how to intentionally opt out of anything that's robbing you of your energy, freedom, joy, and peace of mind. It's time to let it all go, finally, so that you can clear your mental inboxes and make space to subscribe to a life that truly lights your soul. If you're ready, hop in. We are embarking on the transformation of a lifetime. Hello, everyone. We are back with another Ask Me Anything episode because I enjoyed it so much, and also I talked so much and we didn't get through all of the questions that I had in mind in the last two episodes. So I just want to say thank you all for sharing your questions and thoughts. Oh my gosh, it's been so much fun to respond and think in this way and really talk to the things that are on your minds, the things that are present for all of us in such a beautiful way. It's been so much fun for me, and I've just been talking about it every day with the people I meet on my matcha dates and friends and family, and it's just so much fun. Today, we are going to be talking all about money, a little bit about career. And it's going to be a fun one because I feel like money, I talked about it in a certain way a few episodes ago. I think that was episode 18, subscribing to relaxed money vibes and overflow, which I love that approach. And at the same time, I think there's more. There's more that we can tap into together. So we're going to be diving into a little bit about crypto, investing, and I want to preface, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an investment advisor. None of what I'm saying should be done without the help of a financial advisor or whoever you go to for investment advice. Please, please, please know that. And I may say something that will lead you astray. So this is not financial advice. It's just some philosophies that have worked really well for me. Number two, we're going to be also chatting about splitting finances with your significant other. This one's a spicy topic. It's a juicy topic. And I want to share a little bit about how Tushar and I have approached that in our lives and how it's also like changed over the years, I guess, and how we view finances together. And then the last one we're going to talk about is how do you get up after being knocked down and feeling like the poop emoji after being fired. Oh my gosh, it is not fun to be let go. And I just deeply feel for anyone that is in that situation or that has been in that situation before. And I think it could also be an opportunity. So we're going to dive into all of those things together today. Let's dive into number one, the first question. Any advice you might have for beginners on wanting to invest in crypto? So if you're a beginner, I highly recommend first getting educated. Cryptocurrency is a whole new world. It's all about money that is decentralized, that is not governed by one entity, not owned by one agency or foundation or institution like the bank, which is today we have a centralized banking system. We have banks that help control our money, where it goes. And decentralized crypto is unlocking a different way of being. It actually gives you the control of your keys and your money, which is so cool. And it's really empowering when you look at nation states and people who are living in places where things are in turmoil, political turmoil. There's a lot going on. You can't just like up and leave with all your money in your bank account when there is a war breaking out around you. You just can't. It's not how it works. And that is why cryptocurrency is so powerful. It is something you can take with you wherever you go. So I highly recommend getting educated on cryptocurrency. One of my favorite videos on crypto is actually from this creator, One Blue, Two Brown. Let me see if I can find it. I love sharing. I'll link this in the show notes, actually. Or sorry, it's One Blue, Three Brown. And it's actually titled, But How Does Bitcoin Actually Work? It's on YouTube, One Blue, Three Brown. And it's such a great walkthrough of how does the blockchain work? What is the blockchain? And I highly recommend taking a look at that, educating yourself. Get a Twitter account, follow people who talk about crypto, and just read a lot, observe. There's a lot of great resources out there. Get educated and understand the philosophy of Web3 and cryptocurrency, because it is a foundation that could change the future. It could change everything for us. We're in such early days, days where people don't understand it, days where people are scared of it, days where people unfortunately have lost money. And it's something that, because it's so new, it's the Wild West. There are not a lot of easy ways to practice safe stewardship and custody of your cryptocurrency. And you need to get educated on how to keep your crypto safe. So do research on that. Should you be using certain types of wallets, hardware wallet versus keeping it on Coinbase and things like that? And you have to do your research to figure out what is going to be right for you. I always recommend keeping your wallets in cold storage on a hardware physical wallet. If you have a hard time with technology and are worried about losing things, it may not be for you. And forgetting things, it may not be for you. So really dig into how to keep yourself safe, how to keep yourself safe from scammers and things like that, because people can just send you an email and pretend that they're somebody who is managing a transaction for you, and they can drain your wallet of money from that transaction. It's really scary what people can do. There are some sophisticated scammers out there. So practicing safety when dealing with crypto is so important. So number one, education, education, education. Learn about what it is, learn the philosophy, and learn about how to be safe. Talk to people in this space. And there's so many wonderful resources and articles out there. And I want you to feel empowered when you're investing in crypto so that you can even speak about it eloquently in a conversation. Like, you don't need to be the expert and know the ins and outs and how every single blockchain is designed or something like that. You don't need to know any of that. You just need to know at a fundamental level, how does this whole thing work? Where could it go in the future? And why might it be good for me to invest in? Now, when looking at any investment, I highly recommend putting money in, especially if it's risky. Crypto is considered a risky investment. Putting money in that if it went on fire or disappeared one day, that you'd be okay. It's not money you need. It's money that you have that you could afford to lose, but also maybe afford to gain a lot from. And I want that to be something you really take seriously if you are starting out, especially in a new asset class that you've never invested in before, so that you can learn. It's always good to have a little bit of skin in the game when you're learning something, especially a new asset class that you've never been familiar with. So take a couple $100s. If you're able to invest a couple $100s without that hurting, put that into some cryptocurrency that you think is a good one to start out with after doing a little reading and education, and start there. Having skin in the game gives you the ability and desire to learn more. If you have $300 worth of Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it is, then you are more interested in learning more about it, learning about how it came to be. Read the white papers. Each cryptocurrency has a white paper, and they're kind of dense, but they're also going to be really interesting for you to get the fundamentals on why that cryptocurrency exists. Or I bet there's like a Cliff Notes version of each of the white papers out there. So those are my top few tips on how to get started. And like I said, that YouTube video is going to be really valuable as well. The next question, because we're going to switch gears so I don't dwell on any one topic too long, it's all about finances. Any opinion on splitting finances equally with your significant other? So it's interesting. Tushar and I, when we got married, we had a very unique situation. We were both coming into the marriage with businesses. I had Matcha Design Labs, he had his business. And because we were coming into the marriage with assets, we also had to look at what many people call a prenup, a marital partnership agreement. How are we going to approach this? Because we have assets that we've built outside of the marriage, and now we're coming in and we're going to be building our assets together. So we had an agreement that we put in place, and that allowed us to feel safe and allowed us to be protected in the event of something happening, which it always feels kind of weird when you're going into a marriage. Of course, you never want anything to happen. You're like in love with this person. You want to spend the rest of your life with them. Why are you thinking about like the eject button? So I remember when I was going through this, I felt so much dissonance because I want to be with this person forever. I don't want to think about what if it goes wrong. That just sent, oh my gosh, it didn't feel good. It was out of alignment in some ways. And at the same time, I had to look at things logically. I had to look at what I had built and what he had built and respect those entities that we had put together and grown individually. And I had some really great advice that my dad gave me, and he said, hey, we need to put our feelings aside and look at this purely from a practical stance. And what if we reframe the whole thing? Isn't it amazing that we're coming in with assets? Most young people in their 20s don't come into a marriage with assets. We're coming in with assets, and it's such a cool thing that we get to now merge our lives and grow what's next together and create the next phase of our wealth, our assets together. And so we have a really wonderful set of things that keeps us safe in case of anything happening. And at the same time, we wanted to start the marriage as a team. So immediately after we got married, we created a joint checking account. And we have a bunch of joint accounts now. And what we do is that's where all of the money that we make from like the paychecks from our businesses go. And that is how we pay for things in our lives. Like we have groceries and bills and this and that. And that's how we pay for them. We pay for them out of this joint bank account that we have. And it's really important, I believe. I guess I could speak for myself. We set this up years and years ago, and it's just something that works really well for us. But it's really important to know that you're building a life together. And there's really not like, this is yours and this is mine. And yes, we had to come into the marriage and protect our assets and protect the people, interested in our assets and things like that. But at the same time, like we knew we were building a life together that will last a lifetime, decades and decades. So we need to create the right foundation of how we see what we make. And it's not that we're building our own empires, we're building an empire together. And that's why creating and opening a joint account for both of us was so important. We both contribute to that, and we both live our lives out of that. And it's also easier from a logistical standpoint because now I don't have to think about splitting bills. I don't have to think about like, oh, I'm buying myself this. No, we have an account that we pay all of our credit cards through. We have an account where we are all shopping through or Amazoning through or whatever else we're all doing these days, buying furniture. This is all stuff that goes into our house that we both live in, that is our home, and that is what is our joint assets together, including that checking account. So that's the way we approach things because, yes, we have a contingency plan. We will never be needing to use that because we have such a wonderful relationship. And now we can put that to sleep. And now we're coming into this and we are looking at how are we going to live our day to day? How are we going to build this life, this empire, this beautiful way of being together? It's not about what's yours. It's not about what's mine. It's about what's ours. What are we creating together? And, in the future, as family grows and things like that, we're going to want to approach it even more differently. So having something we're both working on together has really helped orient us as a team. And I look at our finances on a monthly basis. I look at our credit cards. I look at where money is going, how much we're spending on travel. I look at our budgets. I look at that. And it's my responsibility to do that. It's something that I'm really good at and very organized with. So I know like, okay, wait, that was a weird charge. Let's look into that. Wait, we actually spent this much money on X and this much money on Y, and this is what we thought instead. And really taking a look and analyzing our spending habits, analyzing where our money is going. And I'm also asking myself, does this actually match our priorities? A lot of money that we're spending these days goes towards health, goes towards our functional doctor, goes towards our trainer and quality foods that we're purchasing and organic foods that we're purchasing. And that is in alignment for both of us. That feels really good. We spend money on things like the chiropractor and massages and taking care and nourishing our bodies. We have a cold plunge, which I love, and our sauna and little things like that. All of these things add up. And it's really interesting to take a look at your finances, see where your money is going. And aside from like the big things like payments or rent or those things, you can look at the rest of this expenditure and see what your priorities are. Do you say that your priority is health, but your money is going towards eating out and partying every month and you are spending thousands of dollars there? Okay, well, let's take a look at that. That means what you say is not in alignment with what you do. So finances can be really telling, which is super interesting. But that's how we approach finances. That's how we approach splitting our finances, I guess, or not splitting finances. And that feels really good for us. And I'm in charge of reviewing everything, making sure we don't have weird charges or automatic subscriptions that we don't want anymore. It's an audit I do every month. I have a really great Notion set up for that, which is super helpful. And it helps keep me organized. The other note on this is credit cards. I know that credit cards can be really, really beneficial, especially when you're gaining points. We have a joint credit card as well, and that has been super helpful because it is something where we're authorized users and we can just spend and have it coming out of that same account. We have credit cards that are on our individual names as well, but it also still comes out of that same account. So really all the expenses that we are having on a day-to-day basis are being paid for by our joint account. And we have this merged, combined lifestyle that we live. And that feels really good and in alignment to us, because even though we don't necessarily make the same amount of money, that's just how we do it. This is a unit that we're building. We are building a unit, a family unit that is going towards one specific goal. And this approach feels really good and feels like it's in alignment to us. It feels like overflow to me and to Tushar too, I think. But it just helps us feel like we're truly on the same team, not just outside of finances, but inside finances too. And it makes me just feel so proud of us and how far we've come and how far we're going to go together. So let's jump into question number 3, which is going to be the last question for this podcast episode. How to get up when you're feeling like the poop emoji after being fired. If you haven't noticed, I don't really swear. So I'm so excited about this question because I know it's hard. It's a hard moment. And I'm really sorry for the person who asked me this question. I'm really sorry that you had to experience this. And I think it's such a beautiful opportunity for you. It is a huge opportunity for you to learn and grow and transform. In any relationship that ends, a working relationship or other, there are parts both parties usually had to play in the ending of that relationship. So I think it's really important to take a look at what happened and acknowledge your part, the part you played in being the person who was let go, the part you played in bringing this into reality, because there is some part that you played in bringing this into reality. And I say this with so much love. Maybe it's deep in your heart, not the job you wanted. Maybe you dreaded showing up to that job. What in you caused you to show up in a certain way that made this result come to be? And it's not a bad thing. This is information. This is going to be very valuable information for you, especially when you're going into that next job, that next role. And I also want you to ask yourself, what part did the company play in making this come to be? What did they do? What did they set up? What did they say to you? What culture did they create? What were all the things they did that made this come to reality? And take a look at these things, because this is also information. Now you know what companies you don't want to work with anymore. Now you know what teams you don't want to work with anymore. And knowing who you don't want to work with is just as powerful as knowing who you want to work with. So I want to share that, because taking a look at these things at a deeper level is going to shed light to what you need to change, what you need to do differently, and how you need to adjust your search for the next role. I know it's hard, and I think it's good to grieve what has been lost. And I think it's good to process that emotion of disappointment, of sadness, of anger, all those emotions. And then to come back and know that you are now better equipped than you were months ago when you started this job. You're now better equipped than ever before. You have everything you need to make the next step into your next phase of career. And it's going to be better than this last job. Whenever something doesn't work out, something falls away, I always think to myself, this or something better, this or something better. And I want you to think that too. It's either this or something better. And I also deeply hold the belief that if something is not serving me, it falls away quickly and quietly. And maybe that's what's happening for you as well. I want you to be open to the fact that this is going to open the most incredible job for you, the best job in the entire world. It's coming your way, and it could not come your way if there wasn't space for it. And thankfully, the universe created space for it. So I hope this was helpful in just reframing the whole losing a job experience. I'm here. If you have any questions, please send me a DM on Instagram so we can talk more about it, because I want to support you in this. I hope all of these topics were interesting to you today and fun to talk about and listen to. We covered crypto, we covered splitting finances with your significant other, and getting fired. So I love you all. Thank you for joining me on these wild rides, these Ask Me Anythings. I hope to do another one again soon, maybe another series sometime in the future. And until next time, I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. Take care.